wiped down the last table in the mess hall and looked at the clock on the wall. It was almost midnight. The mining colony of New never truly slept, but the dinner shift had ended hours ago. His feet hurt and his back ached from standing all day, but this was the life he had chosen. 2 years on this dusty planet called Seven, cooking meals for 200 miners, all so he could send money back home to his daughter. He thought about as he cleaned the industrial-sized pots. She would be 9 years old now. He had missed her last 2 birthdays. The video calls were never enough. She always asked when he was coming home, and he always said soon, even though his contract had another year left. Carried the last bag of kitchen waste toward the disposal area behind the building. The night air was cold, much colder than the scorching daytime heat. 2 moons hung in the purple sky, casting strange shadows across the rocky ground. He tossed the bag into the large container and turned to go back inside. That's when he heard it, a small sound like a whimper or a clicking noise. He froze and listened. There it was again, coming from behind the waste containers. "Hello," called out, "someone there." The sound stopped immediately, felt his heart beat faster. There weren't supposed to be any animals on this planet, at least not near the colony. He should probably go get security, but something made him curious. He pulled out his small flashlight and walked slowly toward the containers. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly, the way he used to talk to when she was scared of the dark. He pointed the flashlight behind the containers and gasped. A pair of large eyes stared back at him, reflecting the light like a cat's eyes. But this was no cat. It was a child, or something like a child. Small, maybe the size of a 6-year-old human, with skin that shimmered like fish scales under the light. The creature was painfully thin and could see its ribs through the scaled skin. The child made a frightened clicking sound and pressed itself against the wall, trying to become smaller. One arm was bleeding, a dark fluid seeping from a nasty cut. His first thought was clear: he needed to report this. The colony had strict rules. Any contact with alien life had to be reported immediately to security. No exceptions. He reached for his radio. But then the child looked directly at him. Those big eyes were filled with terror and hunger and pain. The creature was shaking, either from fear or cold or both. Its small hands clutched at nothing and could hear its stomach making desperate sounds. He remembered. He remembered finding her once when she was 5, hiding in a closet after having a nightmare. She had looked at him with those same frightened eyes, needing help, needing safety, needing her father. His hand dropped away from the radio. "Okay," he said quietly. "Okay, little one, you're hungry, aren't you?" The alien child didn't move, but its eyes followed him as he slowly backed away toward the kitchen door, held up his hands, showing he wasn't carrying anything dangerous. "I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere." He hurried inside and went straight to the kitchen. His mind was racing. What did alien children eat? Could human food poison it? But looking at how thin it was, figured it was already dying. At least he could try to help. He decided on soup. Soup was gentle, easy to digest. He grabbed vegetables from the cooler: carrots, potatoes, some greens. He added protein paste, the kind that was fortified with nutrients. He kept the seasoning simple, just a little salt. Within 20 minutes, he had a pot of simple vegetable soup cooling on the counter. He poured some into a bowl, added a bottle of water, and grabbed the basic medical kit from the wall. He carried everything outside carefully, his hands trembling slightly. This was crazy. He was breaking every rule in the book, but he couldn't stop himself. The alien child was still there, watching him from the shadows. Set the bowl on the ground about 3 meters away from the containers. He placed the water and medical supplies next to it. "It's okay," he said gently. "It's food. You can eat it." The child stared at the bowl but didn't move. Understood. Trust had to be earned. He backed away slowly until he was standing near the kitchen door, giving the creature space. Then he sat down on the ground and waited. Minutes passed. The cold seeped through his pants. Didn't move. Finally, the alien child emerged from behind the container. It moved on all fours at first, then stood up on two legs like a human. It approached the bowl very slowly, ready to run at any moment. When it reached the bowl, it looked at one more time. He smiled and nodded. "Go ahead, it's for you." The child picked up the bowl with both hands and sniffed it. Then it began to drink. At first, small sips, then larger gulps. The soup disappeared in less than a minute. The child licked the bowl clean, then grabbed the water bottle. It struggled with the cap until slowly stood up and mimed a twisting motion. The child understood and opened it, drinking half the bottle in one go. Watched as the small creature sat down right there on the ground, holding the empty bowl. It looked exhausted and relieved at the same time. He noticed the cut on its arm again. Very slowly, he picked up the medical kit and slid it across the ground toward the child. It flinched but didn't run. Opened his own kit and took out a bandage. He mimed putting it on his arm, showing what it was for. The alien child watched him carefully. It reached for the medical kit and pulled out a similar bandage. Its small fingers were clumsy, but it managed to clean the wound with an antiseptic wipe and put the bandage on. "Good," said. "That's good." He stood up slowly. "I have to go inside now, but I'll leave more food here tomorrow night. Same time, will you come back?" The child tilted its head, clearly not understanding his words but perhaps understanding his tone, smiled again and backed toward the door. The alien child watched him but made no sound. Went inside and watched from the window. After about 10 minutes, the small creature stood up, placed the empty bowl carefully on the ground, and disappeared into the darkness beyond the colony lights. Locked the kitchen door and leaned against it. His heart was still pounding. What had he just done? He had broken protocol, risked his job, possibly endangered the entire colony. But when he closed his eyes, all he could see were those frightened, hungry eyes. He thought of again, safe at home with her grandmother. What if she were lost and alone on a strange world? Wouldn't he want someone to help her? Made his decision. He would come back tomorrow night, and the night after that. Whatever this creature was, it was a child and it needed help. That was all that mattered. The alien child came back the next night just as had hoped. He was waiting with a fresh bowl of soup and more medical supplies. This time, the creature approached faster, less afraid. It ate quickly and drank more water. When it finished, it looked at and made a soft clicking sound that might have been thanks. Smiled. "I'm going to call you," he said. "I hope you don't mind." The child tilted her head again in that curious way. Then she did something unexpected. She reached into a small pouch on her side and pulled out a smooth, polished stone. She held it out too, her small hand shaking slightly. His throat tightened with emotion. A gift. She was giving him a gift in return. He took the stone carefully and held it up to the moonlight. It was beautiful, deep blue with swirls of silver. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you." On the second night stayed a little longer after eating. She seemed stronger already. The wound on her arm was healing well. Brought a blanket and left it for her, miming wrapping it around himself. Took it carefully and wrapped it around her thin shoulders. She made a purring sound like a satisfied cat. By the third night had fallen into a routine. He prepared special soup just for her, making it more nutritious each time. He brought different foods to see what she liked. She enjoyed the vegetables but turned her nose up at anything too spicy. Sweet fruits made her click happily. That was the night found out. Was in the kitchen preparing some meal when he heard footsteps behind him. He spun around to see standing in the doorway, her arms crossed and her eyebrows raised. "Working late?" she asked. "That's the third extra pot of soup this week." Was the colony's supply coordinator, and she tracked every item that went in and out of the kitchen. She was smart and observant, and knew he couldn't lie to her. They had been friends for over a year, and she deserved the truth. "I can explain," he started. "I hope so, because the inventory doesn't match the number of people we fed," said. She walked closer, her expression serious. "What's going on?" He took a deep breath. Promise me you'll keep an open mind. That depends on what you're about to tell me. Come with me, I'll show you. Led outside to the waste disposal area, was already there waiting. When she saw the stranger she immediately backed away, making a frightened hissing sound. Gasped and stumbled backward. What is that? Her name is, said quickly. She's just a child. She was starving when I found her 5 days ago. Please, don't report this yet, just look at her. Stared at her face, a mixture of shock and fear. But then her expression softened. She was seeing what had seen, a scared, hungry child who needed help. Oh my God, whispered, she's so small. I know I'm breaking protocol, said. I know this could get us both in trouble, but I couldn't let her starve. Was quiet for a long moment, then she sighed. You're an idiot, a kind idiot, but still an idiot. She looked at again. What does she eat? Felt relief wash over him. Mostly vegetables and protein. She seems to like sweet things. I have some fruit bars in storage. High nutrition, easy to digest. Smiled slightly. I'll mark them as damaged goods. From that night on, helped. She brought supplies, stood watch while fed, and even learned to identify what the alien child liked and didn't like. Gradually accept its presence, though she remained more cautious around her than around. On the 4th night, they noticed that was organizing things. She had taken the empty containers and stacked them neatly. She had arranged the stones she collected in patterns. It was clear she was intelligent, perhaps as smart as a human child. She's trying to communicate, observed. Look, she's making shapes with the stones. Watched as arranged the stones in a pattern that looked almost like a crude map. She pointed at one stone, then at herself, then made clicking sounds and pointed at the sky. I think she's trying to tell us where she came from, said. Actually nodded like a human and pointed at the sky again. Then she made a crashing motion with her hands and pointed at the ground. A crash. Her ship had crashed. You came from up there, said gently, and you crashed here. Made an affirmative clicking sound. Then she looked sad, her large eyes growing darker. She pointed at the sky again and hugged herself, rocking back and forth. She misses her family, realized. His heart ached for her. She's alone here just like I thought. But not everything was going smoothly. The colony's security chief, a gruff man named, had started asking questions. He had noticed late-night activities and the missing supplies. On the 5th day, he confronted in the mess hall. You're hiding something, said bluntly. I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know when someone's up to something. I don't know what you mean, said, but he could feel his face getting hot. The security cameras show you going to the disposal area every night at the same time. You stay out there for an hour, then you come back inside. Leaned closer. What's going on? Are you meeting someone? Stealing supplies? I'm not stealing anything. Then what are you doing? Wanted to tell him. Part of him knew that was just doing his job, protecting the colony. But another part of him was terrified of what would happen to if he told the truth. Would they capture her, study her, send her away? I'm just getting fresh air, said weakly. His eyes narrowed. I'm watching you. Whatever you're hiding, I'll find out. That night told about the confrontation. She looked worried. He's not going to let this go. He's too thorough. I know, poured soup into a bowl but what can we do? I can't abandon her. Maybe we should tell someone. Maybe the director would understand. Or maybe they'd take her away. They went outside together, both feeling the weight of their secret. Was waiting, and she seemed to sense their worry. After she ate, she came closer to than she ever had before. She reached out with one small hand and gently touched his fingers. The gesture was so human, so trusting that felt tears in his eyes. He squeezed her hand gently. I won't let anything bad happen to you, he promised. Looked up at him and made a soft, musical sound. Then she did something that changed everything. She pointed at the sky with her free hand and made urgent clicking sounds. She seemed agitated, excited, or maybe frightened. She kept pointing up and making gestures like something big was coming. "What is she trying to say?" asked. Drew in the dirt with a stick. A circle, probably a ship. She drew a smaller circle next to it herself. Then she drew a line connecting them. She pointed at the big circle and made a loud, powerful clicking sound. Someone's coming, realized, feeling cold fear settle in his stomach. Someone's coming for her. Nodded vigorously. She looked both hopeful and terrified. After left that night and stood in silence. "What do we do?" asked. "If her people are coming, they might not be friendly." "She's just a child," said. "Whoever's coming must be her family. They're looking for her. Or they could be dangerous." Looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, someone was coming to Seven, someone who cared enough about to search for her. He hoped they would understand that he had only tried to help. He touched the polished stone in his pocket, the gift had given him on their first night together. Whatever was coming, he would face it. Because that's what you did for the people you cared about, even if they were from another world. The alarm woke everyone in the colony at dawn. The loud, piercing sound meant only one thing. A ship had entered their space without authorization, jumped out of bed and ran to the window. Other colonists were already rushing toward the main building. His radio crackled to life. "All personnel report to the assembly hall immediately. This is not a drill." His heart pounded as he threw on his clothes. This was it. His family had arrived. He ran toward the assembly hall, where Director was already addressing the frightened crowd. "An unidentified vessel has entered orbit," she announced, her voice tight with stress. "It's like nothing in our records. The ship is massive and heavily armed. They have not responded to our communication attempts." A screen behind her showed an image of the ship. His breath caught in his throat. It was enormous, bigger than 3 colony ships combined. The design was aggressive, all sharp angles and visible weapons. It looked like it had been built for war, covered in scars from old battles. "Lockdown protocols are now in effect," Director continued. "No one leaves the main buildings. Security Chief, activate all defensive measures." "Our defenses won't do anything against that," someone shouted from the crowd. "I know," said grimly, "but we follow protocol anyway." Found in the crowd, she grabbed his arm. "That's for, isn't it? That's her family." "It has to be." "That's a warship. What if they think we hurt her?" He hadn't thought of that. His blood ran cold. What if people thought the colonists had captured her? What if they attacked before anyone could explain? The screen changed to show the ship descending through the atmosphere. It was coming down fast, heading straight for their location. The building shook as the massive vessel landed 3 kilometers away, close enough to be a clear threat. "Why would they land so close unless they planned to attack?" muttered, checking his weapon. For several minutes nothing happened. The ship just sat there, silent and menacing. Then a door opened on its side. A single figure emerged and began walking toward the colony. The cameras zoomed in and heard people gasp around him. The alien was huge, at least 2.5 meters tall, with the same scaled skin as but darker, almost black. This one was heavily muscled, moving with the confident stride of a warrior. Cybernetic enhancements glowed on its arms and legs, and it was carrying weapons, large, advanced-looking weapons that hummed with power. "Battle stations," ordered, but his voice shook. Director stared at the screen. "What do they want?" As if in answer, the colony's communication system crackled. A voice came through, speaking broken human language through some kind of translator device. The voice was deep and angry. "We're small one, give back now." The entire room went silent. Everyone turned to look at each other, confused. What small one? What were they talking about? Felt sick. He knew exactly who they meant. He stepped forward before he could stop himself. "Director, I need to tell you something." She turned to him, her eyes sharp. "What is it?" "I know what they want. I know who they're looking for." The room erupted in whispers. pushed through the crowd and grabbed shoulder. "You know about this. You know about that alien child they're looking for." Nodded slowly. "I found her 6 days ago, behind the kitchen. She was starving and hurt. I fed her. I didn't know, I just wanted to help." Director's face turned red with anger. "You found an alien life form and didn't report it. Do you have any idea what you've done? That's a warship out there. They probably think we kidnapped their child." "I can explain to them," said desperately. "Let me talk to them. I can tell them I was helping her." "You," laughed bitterly. "You're going to walk out there and explain yourself to an alien warrior. They'll kill you before you say 2 words." "He's right," said. "We need to surrender the child immediately. Where is she?" "I don't know. She comes and goes. She hides somewhere during the day." "Find her," ordered. "Search the perimeter. Find that alien child and bring her to me now." Stepped forward. "Director, if I may, that alien out there hasn't attacked yet. They asked a question. Maybe they will listen if we respond properly. Or maybe they're waiting to see if we comply before they destroy us," snapped. The communication system crackled again. 1 hour give small 1 or colony gone. 1 hour. They had 1 hour to find or everyone would die. Security teams rushed out to search the area. Ran with them, calling for in places only he knew she liked to hide, but she was nowhere to be found. 30 minutes passed, then 45. The alien warrior continued walking toward the colony, slow and deliberate, like a predator who knew its prey had nowhere to run. With 15 minutes left, made a decision. He found Director and near the main entrance. "Let me go out there," he said. "Let me talk to them. I'll tell them I fed, that she's safe, that we didn't hurt her." "That's suicide," said. "Maybe, but if we don't do something, we all die anyway." Looked at. "You said our weapons won't stop that ship. Our only chance is communication. Let me try." Studied him for a long moment, then she sighed. "You're either very brave or very stupid." She nodded. "Go, try to buy us time." Walked toward the exit, ran after him. "I'm coming with you." "No, you should stay. I helped you feed her, remember? If you're going to die out there, I'm not letting you die alone." They walked through the airlock together, leaving the safety of the colony behind. The desert stretched before them, and in the distance, the massive warship loomed like a mountain. The alien warrior was closer now, maybe 200 meters away. Could see details now that the cameras hadn't shown. The alien scales were covered in scars, hundreds of them, telling a story of countless battles. One eye had been replaced with a cybernetic implant that glowed red. The weapons she carried could probably level a building with one shot. But what struck most was her face. Beneath all the armor and weapons and scars, there was something he recognized: anguish, desperate worry. This wasn't just a warrior. This was a mother looking for her child. He walked forward with his hands raised, showing he had no weapons. Stayed close beside him. They met the alien warrior in the middle of the empty space between the ship and the colony. Up close, she was even more terrifying. She towered over them and could feel the heat radiating from her cybernetic parts. Her remaining natural eye fixed on him with an intensity that made him want to run. "Where small, 1. Her translator device made her voice sound mechanical but could hear the emotion underneath. "What you do to her?" Swallowed hard. "I helped her. I found her 6 days ago. She was hungry and hurt. I gave her food and medicine. I didn't hurt her. I would never hurt a child." The alien's eye narrowed. She raised one of her weapons and pointed it at its chest. "Lies humans take, children sell, trade, pirates, told me." "No," said firmly, though his whole body was shaking. "I don't know what pirates told you, but I'm not a pirate. I'm a cook. I have a daughter back on Earth. When I saw your child hungry and scared, I thought about my own little girl. I just wanted to help." The alien warrior stepped closer. Could smell something like hot metal and ozone. Prove it. How could he prove it? He had no evidence, no way to show that he had only wanted to help. Then he remembered the stone in his pocket. Slowly, carefully, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the polished blue stone had given him. "She gave this to me," said, holding it up. "On the first night, after I fed her, she gave me this as a gift." The alien stared at the stone, her weapon lowered slightly. "Family, stone she give you." "Yes, I fed her soup. She was so hungry. Then she gave me this." Felt tears in his eyes. "Please, I just wanted to help her. She's safe. She's somewhere nearby. She's okay." For a long moment, the alien warrior stood perfectly still. Then something happened that didn't expect. She made a sound, a deep, mournful sound that was clearly her crying. The alien warrior lowered her weapons completely. She dropped to one knee in front of, bringing herself closer to his eye level. Up close, he could see that her hands were shaking. "My name," she said through the translator. "Small one is daughter. Where's she now?" "I don't know exactly," admitted. "She comes to me at night. She hides during the day. I've been feeding her behind the kitchen building." Made a clicking sound similar to the ones made. "Call her, please." Nodded and walked toward the colony with following close behind. Stayed with them, though could see she was terrified. When they reached the disposal area behind the kitchen, called out, "It's me, it's safe. Someone's here to see you." Nothing happened for a moment. Then there was movement in the shadows between the buildings. Emerged slowly, looking cautious. When she saw her mother, her eyes went wide. "Mama," the word came out in her own language, not through a translator, but its meaning was clear. Ran forward and opened her arms. The reunion happened in a rush of clicking sounds and tears. Picked up her daughter and held her tight, making sounds that were clearly words of relief and love. Buried her face in her mother's shoulder and cried. Felt his own tears falling. He thought of, so far away on Earth. He thought of how he would feel if she had been lost and someone had found her and kept her safe. He understood's anguish completely. Examined carefully, checking her over for injuries. She saw the bandage on's arm and looked at with a question in her eyes. "She had a cut when I found her," explained. "I gave her medical supplies to treat it. It's healing well." Gently removed the bandage and examined the wound. It was almost completely healed. She touched it carefully, then looked at again. This time her expression was different. The rage was gone, replaced by confusion and something that might have been gratitude. "You help her, why?" It wasn't really a question, more like genuine confusion. "Because she needed help," said simply. "She was hungry and hurt. What else would I do?" Stared at him for a long moment. Then she spoke in her own language too. The child answered, clicking and gesturing. She pointed at and made eating motions. She mimed drinking water. She touched her bandaged arm and pointed at again. She was telling her mother everything. Listened to her daughter's story. As talked, its expression changed. She looked at with new eyes, studying him as if seeing him for the first time. When finished, stood up, still holding her daughter. She looked at and, "Come, ship, we talk better there, translator better." And exchanged glances. Going onto an alien warship seemed dangerous, but's tone had changed. She no longer sounded threatening. Nodded. "Okay." They walked together toward the massive ship, with half the colony watching from the windows. Could see Director's shocked face through one of them. He wondered if she thought he was being taken prisoner. Inside the ship, everything was huge and built for creatures much larger than humans. Led them to a room that seemed to be a command center. She sat down gently and worked on her translator device, adjusting settings. "Better now," she said, and her voice was clearer, more natural. "I can speak your language more good now." "More well," corrected gently without thinking, then immediately regretted it. But's lip twitched in what might have been a smile. "More well, thank you." She sat down on a bench and climbed into her lap. "I need understand. Why you help my daughter, your people and my people we fight before, 2 years ago. Human military ships attack trading post. Many die." Felt sick, he hadn't known about that. The colony was far from any military zones and news from other sectors often didn't reach them. I didn't know about that, I'm sorry, but I'm not military, I'm just a cook, and is just a child. What happened between our peoples shouldn't matter when a child is hungry. Translated this for who nodded and made clicking sounds of agreement. My daughter say you kind. She say you remind of grandfather. He was kind too. Dead now. I'm sorry for your loss, said softly. Looked at her then back at. I tell you what happened, you deserve no. She took a breath. I am commander of this ship. We fight in war against bad species. They destroy our home world long ago. We live on ships now, always fighting, always running. 2 weeks ago, pirates attack us. Daughter was in small ship learning to fly. When battles start, I tell her run, escape. Her ship damaged, I think she dead. I fight pirates. Take 3 days to win. 3 days I think my daughter gone. Her voice cracked with emotion, hugged her mother. I track her ship signal here, I come fast, so fast. I think I find her body or I find humans hurt her. Pirates tell me before that humans steal alien children, sell them. I come ready to destroy everything to save my daughter. Look directly at, but you help her instead. You break your rules to help her. Why? Thought about how to explain. I have a daughter. Her name is, she's 9 years old back on Earth. I haven't seen her in 2 years because I work here. Every day I miss her. Every day I worry about her. When I saw, scared and hungry, I saw my own daughter, I thought, what if was lost somewhere and needed help? I would want someone to help her, so I helped. Was quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. In culture, protecting another's child is highest honor. Create debt that never be repaid. You not know our culture, but you do this anyway. You risk everything for daughter of stranger, of enemy even. She's not my enemy, said. She's a child. Yes, stood up, still holding. That is difference. That is what make you good person. She looked at both and, I owe you life debt. My daughter live because of you. In my culture, this mean I protect you and yours forever. Me and my whole fleet, we protect this colony now. You don't have to do that, said. I just did what was right. That is exactly why I must do this, said. You help without asking for reward. That is rare, that is precious. She adjusted her translator again. I go to speak with your leader. I make formal alliance. This colony under protection now. No one harm you while my ships fly. Director will be very surprised, said with a small laugh. His expression became serious again. I must ask forgiveness too. I come here angry, ready to kill. Ready to destroy colony if my daughter was hurt. I was wrong, you not hurt her, you save her. I am sorry. You were protecting your daughter, said. I understand that. Any parent would do the same. Suddenly wiggled out of her mother's arms and walked over too. She looked up at him with those big eyes and reached up. He wasn't sure what she wanted until she gestured for him to lean down. When he did, she hugged him tightly around the neck. Thank you, she whispered in broken human language. Thank you for soup. Hugged her back, feeling his heart overflow with warmth. You're welcome, little one. I'm glad you're safe with your mama now. Pulled back and clicked something to her mother, nodded. She say she want come visit you. Learn make soup like you make. I say yes if you agree. I would love that, said, smiling through his tears. They returned to the colony together. An alien warrior, her daughter, a cook, and a supply coordinator. Director nearly fainted when she saw them walking back together, talking like old friends. When explained the situation and offered an alliance, could barely speak. An alliance with the fleet. This is unprecedented. My daughter was dying, this man save her, that make him family. You are his people, so you are under protection too. His tone made it clear this wasn't negotiable. Director looked at with an expression he couldn't quite read. Anger, amazement, relief, probably all three. We will talk about you breaking protocol later, but for now, thank you. You may have just saved all our lives. That evening, as the sun set over New's ship remained on the ground, but it no longer looked threatening. It looked like a guardian, watching over the small human colony below. Inside the mess hall, prepared a special meal, soup of course, for a very unusual dinner party, and sat at the table along with director and several other colonists. As they ate, watched enjoy her soup, her mother's large hand resting gently on her shoulder, he thought about how one simple act of kindness had changed everything. He had just wanted to feed a hungry child. He never imagined it would lead to this, an alliance between species, a new friendship, and hope for a better future. 3 days after arrived, New Colony looked completely different. The warship still sat 3 kilometers away, but now there were also smaller vessels coming and going, bringing supplies and equipment. What had started as a terrifying first contact had become something no one could have imagined, an alliance between two species. Director called a meeting within her office. He expected anger, maybe even punishment for breaking protocol. Instead, she looked tired and relieved at the same time. "You put us all at risk," she said, sitting back in her chair. "You broke every rule we have about alien contact. You could have gotten us all killed." "I know," said quietly. "I'm sorry." "But you also saved us," smiled slightly. "That fleet could have destroyed us in minutes. Instead, they're offering us protection, technology, and trade agreements. The Earth government is very interested in this development." She picked up a tablet and slid it across the desk. "This is your official reprimand. It goes in your file, required by protocol." Looked at it. The reprimand was there, but it was the minimum possible. He looked up at it in surprise. "Off the record," she said. "You did the right thing. You saw a child in need and helped her. That took courage and compassion. We need more people like you, not fewer." She stood up and held out her hand. "Thank you for saving my colony." They shook hands and felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He wasn't being punished. In fact, had another surprise for him. "They want a liaison," she explained. "Someone who can help us understand each other, someone they trust, specifically requested you." "Me, but I'm just a cook. I don't know anything about diplomacy." "You know the most important thing. You know how to see people as people, not as aliens. The job is yours if you want it. You'll still cook, but you'll also help facilitate communication between our peoples." Thought about it. It was a huge responsibility, but it also meant he could continue to help build bridges between humans and he could make sure other children, human and alien alike, would grow up in a world where kindness mattered more than fear. "I'll do it," he said. Was promoted too. She became the colony's diplomatic coordinator, working directly with to manage the new relationship with the. She was excited about the opportunity, already planning ways to organize cultural exchanges and trade agreements. The biggest surprise came from herself. She found in the kitchen one evening where he was teaching how to chop vegetables safely. The little girl was concentrating hard, her tongue sticking out slightly as she worked. Said, her translator now working perfectly after technicians fixed it. "I have proposal for you." "What kind of proposal?" "You say you miss your daughter. 2 years is long time," gestured to her ship outside. "Ships use different engine than human ships, much faster. We can travel to Earth and back in 3 weeks, not 6 months. Knife clattered to the cutting board. 3 weeks, that's not possible." "Is possible. I take you to Earth. You see your daughter. Bring her back here if you want or just visit. You help my daughter, I help yours." Tears filled his eyes. He hadn't seen in 2 years. The idea of seeing her again in just 3 weeks instead of waiting another year was overwhelming. "You would do that for me?" "Life debt," said simply, "and friendship, you are friend now." That night sent a message to Earth, to his mother and daughter. He told them he would be home in 3 weeks. He could barely imagine's reaction when she heard. The next morning, more ships arrived, but these weren't military vessels. They were traders and civilians, curious about the humans who had helped one of their commander's children. A marketplace sprang up near the colony, where both species could trade goods and ideas. found himself in the middle of it all, cooking meals that combined human and ingredients, teaching visitors how to make soup, and learning about cooking in return. Was always at his side, excited to learn everything he could teach her. One afternoon, while preparing lunch, heard a familiar gruff voice behind him. "Never thought I'd see the day," said, leaning against the kitchen doorframe. "Humans and eating lunch together, working together." "Neither did I," admitted. "What do you think of all this?" Was quiet for a moment. "I think you're either the luckiest man alive or the bravest, maybe both." He pushed off from the doorframe. "For what it's worth, I was wrong about you. You weren't stealing. You were doing something much more important." "I was just feeding a hungry child." "No," said, "you were building a bridge. There's a difference." 6 months passed. New grew from a small mining colony to a hub of human cooperation. An embassy was built, half human design, half a physical representation of their alliance. Scientists from both species worked together on research projects. Children from both species played together in specially designed playgrounds. Made his trip to Earth, and it was everything he had hoped. Cried when she saw him, running into his arms and refusing to let go for almost an hour. He spent 2 wonderful weeks with her, telling her stories about soup and kindness and how small actions could change the world. When he asked if she wanted to come back to 7 with him, she surprised him by saying yes. His mother approved, seeing how much the opportunity meant to both of them. Now lived at the colony, going to school with both human and children, and helping her father in the kitchen every day. She and became fast friends, despite the language barrier. They developed their own way of communicating, mixing human words with clicks and lots of gestures. Would watch them playing together and feel his heart swell with pride and joy. The alliance attracted attention from across human space and beyond. Other alien species, hearing about the peaceful cooperation between humans, and began to approach Earth with their own proposals for trade and dialogue. Some humans questioned whether they should trust aliens, but more and more pointed to New as proof that cooperation was possible. Fleet maintained a protective orbit over 7. True to her word, she kept the colony safe from pirates and other threats, but more than that, she became a friend. She often joined for dinner, sharing stories of culture and listening to stories about human history. One evening, a year after their first meeting, sat in the mess hall and they were eating soup. Of course it was soup, and talking about plans for a new cultural center that would house artifacts from both civilizations. "I still think about that night," said quietly. "When I landed here, I was ready to destroy everything. I was so angry, so scared. I thought I had lost my daughter forever." "But you didn't," said. "She was safe. Because of you, because you saw a child, not an alien, because you fed her soup." Laughed, a deep rumbling sound. Something so simple, soup, and it changed everything. "It wasn't the soup," said. "It was the kindness behind it." Now speaking much better human language, nodded. "Teach me important thing." He teach me that kindness is same in any language. Same for humans, same for everyone. Smiled at her alien friend. "My dad says the best way to make a friend is to share a meal with them." "Smart father," said, looking at with respect. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, stood outside the kitchen and looked up at the stars. The ships in orbit glowed like new constellations. In the marketplace, he could hear the sounds of humans and talking, laughing, living together. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the polished blue stone had given him on that first night. He had carried it with him every day since then, a reminder of where all this had started. One hungry child, one bowl of soup, one decision to help instead of walking away. On his kitchen counter inside, secured in a place of honor, was a photo of standing next to, both of them covered in flour from a cooking lesson, both grinning at the camera. Next to it was an honor token that had given him, a formal recognition of the life debt and friendship between them. Had come to 7 looking for work, looking to earn money for his daughter's future. He had found something far more valuable. He had found proof that kindness could transcend species, that compassion was a universal language, and that sometimes the most important thing you could do was simply feed a hungry child. Inside, he heard calling him. They had a delegation from another alien species arriving tomorrow, and there was planning to do. Smiled and headed back inside. There was work to do, bridges to build, and soup to make. As he walked through the door, he paused and looked back one more time at the starry sky. Somewhere out there were countless species, countless children, countless opportunities for understanding. And it all started with one simple truth. Everyone deserves kindness, everyone deserves compassion, and everyone deserves a warm bowl of soup when they're hungry. This was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not superior weapons or advanced technology, but the simple, profound ability to see another being in need and choose to help. It was what made them human. It was what made them worthy of the stars. And it had all begun with a cook named, a hungry alien child named, and a bowl of soup shared in the darkness of a distant world.